There comes a time in every life when the noise of the world fades, just enough to hear the two voices that shape everything. One voice is soft, cautious. It whispers the safety of a steady job, the honor of obedience, the comfort of routine. It says, be realistic, play it safe, don't dream too big. The other voice? It's louder. Not because it shouts, but because it burns. It challenges, disrupts, questions. It says, build, risk, own, multiply. Don't work for money. Make money work for you. Most people never hear the second voice clearly. It's buried beneath the noise of culture, tradition, fear, and inherited beliefs. And even those who hear it, most ignore it, but a few. A few follow it, and everything changes. This is not a story about a person. It's about a decision. A decision that separates the 98% from the 2%, the conditioned from the awakened, the poor from the truly rich. And it begins with a young man torn between two fathers, one rich in tradition, the other rich in transformation. Chapter 1. The early lessons you don't realize are lessons. Grew up hearing two sets of truths. One came from his real father, a man of principle, stability, and discipline. A man who worked a stable government job, climbed the educational ladder, and believed in security above all. Son, he would say, go to school, get good grades, and find a secure job. Work hard, save, retire. The other truth came from his best friend's father, a man who owned multiple businesses, didn't finish college, and never worked for someone else. He wore a simple watch but drove expensive cars. He had time freedom, but never seemed rushed. He smiled more. Not because life was easier, but because he owned it. Don't work for money, the rich dad would say. Learn how money works. Learn how you work, and never let fear make your choices. Both men loved him in their own way. Both men wanted him to succeed, but the paths they laid before him couldn't have been more different. The seed of conflict at 10 years old. He didn't understand the conflict. He only knew that his real dad seemed tired, stressed, always chasing promotions. He came home late, carried books and bills in the same bag, and never had time to just breathe. Meanwhile, the rich dad seemed free. He was always building something. Always asking questions. What do you think that store makes a month? Why do you think people go into debt? What do you think is more powerful, education or attention? One day, he asked both fathers the same question. Why don't we have more money? His real dad sighed. Because everything's getting expensive and jobs don't pay what they used to. Life is hard. That's why you need a good degree, so you can survive. His rich dad smirked. Because we haven't learned how to print it. I don't mean illegally, I mean mentally. The rich don't chase money, they create systems that attract it. That was the first moment he felt the pull, like a compass inside, him twisting between two magnetic poles. Chapter 2. Work. To learn, not to earn. The first job he ever got paid him $2.50 an hour. It was at a small convenience store. His real father had helped him get it. Learn to be responsible, he said. Show up on time, do good work. Maybe they'll promote you one day. So he showed up, stocked shelves, mopped floors, counted coins, smiled at customers, but after 3 weeks, something began to gnaw at him, something deeper than exhaustion. He wasn't learning. He was repeating, and repeating, and repeating. One day, the rich dad visited the store. He watched the boy behind the counter for 5 minutes and said nothing. Then he leaned in and asked, "How much are they paying you to give up your brain?" The question stung. "What do you mean?" "I mean you're spending your time, your life doing tasks a machine could do. Are you learning how money works, how value is created, how to lead, how to invest, or are you just surviving?" He didn't know how to respond. Rich dad nodded. Most people confuse working hard with working smart. They think sweating equals success. But if sweat alone built empires, construction workers would rule the world. Then he said, quit that job. I'll give you something better. I won't pay you, but I'll teach you how to think. Chapter 3, The School. That doesn't exist every Saturday morning. He met the rich dad in a dusty back office above a laundromat. There were no desks, no tests, no degrees. Just one man asking impossible questions. If you had $1,000 right now, what would you do with it? What business in this neighborhood do you think will fail first? What do you think taxes are? Punishment or protection? And he asked questions the boy had never heard before. Do you want to be rich or free? What's more important, money or time? Who's really in control? The one who signs the paycheck or the one who earns it? There were books on the floor. Stories of men who built wealth from nothing. Charts about assets and liabilities. Whiteboards filled with arrows, formulas. Cash flow diagrams. It was a school without walls. A class without bells. A university of unlearning. Because what the rich dad understood was this: before you can become rich, you must kill the poor mind inside you. Not poor in money, poor in imagination, poor in understanding, poor in belief. Chapter 4, Two Voices at War. His real father noticed the change. He was asking questions in class, challenging ideas, refusing to blindly memorize. He started a small business at school selling snacks to kids, learned what markup was. He got in trouble. His real father scolded him. Stop trying to be clever. Focus on your studies. You're going to ruin your future. The boy nodded politely, but inside, the war was raging. One voice said, play it safe. Be good. Follow the system. The other voice said, play to win. Be bold. Build your own system. And the hardest part? Both voices sounded like love. One was love through protection. The other was love through preparation. But he knew, deep down, that comfort never builds kingdoms. Chapter 5, The First Lesson in Ownership. Rich Dad took him to a rundown property one day, a forgotten 2-unit building with broken windows, overgrown weeds, and a crooked "for sale" sign. What do you see? He asked. Garbage, decay, problems. Wrong. You see with your eyes. The rich see with vision. Then he handed the boy a notepad. Start calculating. What would it cost to fix? What could you rent it for? What would the cash flow be? How long would it take to get your money back? He didn't understand it all at first. But slowly, he started to. While his classmates were memorizing historical dates, he was learning debt-to-income ratios. While others were applying for part-time jobs, he was sketching rental projections. That day he learned, the poor see problems. The middle class sees work. The rich see opportunity. Ownership isn't just buying. It's believing that your mind can transform what others run from. Chapter 6, The Matrix of Control. Rich Dad once said, most people think they're free, but they're owned by debt, by fear, by routine, by someone else's clock. And then he showed him the real matrix. Wake up to an alarm you didn't choose. Go to a job you don't love. Earn money to pay bills you didn't need. Save for a retirement you may never live to enjoy. That's not life, he said. That's slavery disguised as security. And then he said something that stuck in the boy's soul forever. If you don't learn how to print value with your mind, you'll print time with your life. Chapter 7, Fail Fast. Fail Forward. At 16, the boy launched his first real venture, a delivery service using bicycles. He saved up, hired 2 classmates, created a simple flyer, and got his first few clients. For 2 months, it worked. Then, one worker quit. The other got lazy. Orders were missed. Clients complained. A local shop threatened to sue over competition. It collapsed. His real dad said, I told you this business stuff isn't stable. Focus on your grades. The rich dad said, Good, now you've failed, which means now you're learning. Then he handed him a list. What went wrong? What didn't scale? Where did leadership break? What will you do differently next time? The rich don't run from failure. They harvest it. Chapter 8. The truth about taxes, debt, and the lie of fairness. Most people see taxes as fixed, permanent, unquestionable. Rich Dad taught otherwise. He showed him how corporations pay less than employees, how assets are taxed differently than labor, how debt can be a weapon instead of a weight, if you understand it. He said, the poor are trained to fear debt. The rich are trained to use it. And this, the poor rent. The middle class own homes, the rich own cash flow. The more he learned, the angrier he got, not at the system, but at the silence around it. Why weren't schools teaching this? Because the rich dad whispered, if everyone understood money, no one would work for it blindly, and that would destroy the machine. Chapter 9. The breakpoint. One day, his real father lost his job. 30 years of loyal service gone in. One meeting, there was no backup. No plan, no assets. Only panic. The boy came home that day and didn't feel pity. He felt clarity, because he saw what the system does to good men who trust it too much. He didn't speak. He just went to his room, stared at the ceiling, and made a decision. I will never be owned, not by a paycheck, not by fear, not by comfort. He would build, he would own. He would become what both fathers never became, fully free. Chapter 10. Legacy. Years passed. The boy became the man. The lessons became habits. The risks became rewards. He built businesses, acquired properties, created jobs, taught others. His real father still loved him, but never fully understood him. His rich dad grew old, but proud. One day he visited his old neighborhood, walked past the same convenience store, the same broken house he had once analyzed as a teen, and he smiled, because he knew the richest thing he ever owned was his mindset. Chapter 11. The middle class trap. The world praises stability. A nice house, a steady paycheck, a clean car, a degree on the wall, a yearly vacation, health insurance, retirement at 65, and most people, they believe that's the dream, that's making it. But the rich dad warned him, that's not the dream. That's the trap. The middle class isn't poor, it's worse. Because it's comfortable, too comfortable to change, too proud to admit struggle, too afraid to lose the little they have to gain the life they want. Comfort becomes chains. Routine becomes a prison. And ambition becomes a memory. He looked around at people who had made it and saw lives wrapped in quiet desperation. Big homes, small dreams, long commutes, no purpose. Trapped in a maze they didn't build, chasing a cheese that was already gone. So he vowed, I will not be average, even if it means I must look insane. Chapter 12. Build assets, not applause in a world obsessed with appearances. He chose invisibility. He stopped posting wins, stopped showing off, stopped needing validation. While others flashed fake lifestyles, he was stacking real ones. While they bought new phones, he bought new books. While they scrolled, he studied. While they bought liabilities, he built assets. One duplex turned into 4. One online hustle turned into an automated brand. One investment turned into a chain of income streams. The rich dad had once said, assets whisper, liabilities scream. Real wealth is quiet, steady, boring to those who want fast thrills. But he wasn't chasing excitement. He was building freedom. Chapter 13. When the student surpasses the teacher. One evening, over tea, the rich dad smiled and said, you've outgrown me. He didn't know how to respond. I taught you how to see. But now, you see things I never could. You've taken what I gave and built beyond it. That's the goal. And then he added, now teach others, but not with words, with example. Because most people don't listen. But everyone watches. The greatest proof of wisdom isn't what you say. It's what you become. Chapter 14. Time is the real currency. Money is not the goal. It never was. Money is the tool. Time is the goal. Time to create. Time to rest. Time to give. Time to live fully. Because what good is a fortune if you're still begging for permission to take a vacation? He didn't want a rich bank account and a poor calendar. So he made time his boss. Not money. He automated, delegated, outsourced. He built systems so he could buy back hours. He said no to meetings that didn't matter. No to distractions that didn't serve. He wasn't free when he made money. He was free when he could stop, and nothing fell apart. That was wealth. Chapter 15. Pay yourself first. The poor pay others first. The landlord, the bills, the government, and maybe save what's left. The rich pay themselves first. Every dollar he made, he split. A portion went to reinvest. A portion went to education. A portion went to freedom funds. A portion went to joy. It wasn't greed, it was respect. If you don't value your own future, the rich dad had said, no one else will. The world wants you broke, distracted, and dependent. So the first step to wealth? Pay the future version of you before you pay anyone else. Chapter 16. The real definition of risk is real. Father had always warned, be careful. That's too risky. But one day, after a major win, he asked himself, what's actually risky? Is it risky to start a business? Or to stay in a job that could be gone tomorrow? Is it risky to invest in assets? Or to rely on one paycheck? For 40 years, is it risky to fail? Or to never even try? The poor are taught that movement is risk. The rich know that stagnation is death. So he changed his definition. Risk isn't action. Risk is inaction in a world that won't wait. Chapter 17. The power of financial literacy. He realized that most people weren't dumb. They were just financially illiterate. They knew how to use apps, not how to use money. They knew how to earn, not how to multiply. They knew how to spend, not how to build. So he started teaching. Quietly. He mentored young kids, hosted free seminars, wrote simple guides, opened new minds, and every time someone's eyes lit up when they got it, he felt richer. Because the real flex isn't keeping secrets. It's passing torches, and when enough torches are lit, the darkness loses. Chapter 18. Escape the generational curse. He thought about his family. How many generations had worked hard, but stayed stuck? How many passed down struggle like an heirloom? But he was different. He was the one who broke it. The first to own, not owe. The first to teach freedom, not fear. The first to invest, not just save. The first to say, it ends with me. He would raise kids who understood compound interest, who knew cash flow by 12, who could read financial statements before they could drive. The curse would stop here. The blessing would begin here. He wasn't just getting rich. He was rewriting bloodlines. Chapter 19. The final conversation years later. He sat beside his real father, older, softer, reflective. His father said, I used to think you were foolish, but you saw what I couldn't. The son replied, you gave me integrity, discipline, morals. I just had to combine them with vision. They sat in silence for a while. Then his father said, I'm proud of you. You built a life I never knew was possible. And in that moment, he realized something. He didn't have to choose. Between the two fathers, he became the bridge between them. Principles from one, power from the other, and peace from within. Chapter 20. The man who owns himself. He no longer chased wealth. He wielded it, quietly, responsibly, purposefully. He owned businesses, land, digital assets, brands, time, but more than anything, he owned himself. His thoughts weren't for sale. His time wasn't on a leash. His future wasn't in someone else's hands. He'd become the rarest thing in the world. A man who walks freely in a world built to chain him. And his final lesson to those who came after him was simple. Don't aim to be rich. Aim to be unbreakable. Aim to be independent. Aim to be the one who writes the rules. Then teach others how to do the same. In the end, this was never just about money. It was about freedom. About breaking the chains passed down through silence. About unlearning what school, society, and fear programmed into us. About waking up and realizing that everything you were told to chase was designed to keep you chasing. He followed two voices. One led to limits, the other to legacy. And so must you, because you too are standing at that crossroads. You too are hearing both voices right now. One will keep you where you are. The other will cost you comfort, but buy you everything else. Which one will you follow? Final lessons. To the viewer, your mindset is your greatest asset. Poor people work for money. The rich make money work for them. Comfort is the enemy. The middle class isn't trapped by poverty. They're trapped by safety. Growth begins where comfort ends. Financial literacy is your secret weapon. It's not taught in school. Learn it yourself. Master it. Teach it to others. Build assets. Not just income. Don't just work for money. Build systems that pay you, even when you're asleep. Time is the real wealth. The goal is not to work until you die. The goal is freedom. Time with family. Time for impact. Time to live. Be the one who breaks the cycle. You're not just living for you. You're rewriting your family tree. Be the one your future generations will thank. Don't wait. Start now. Read, learn, build, fail, try again. Time isn't waiting. Neither should you.